economy on Fox News dumping out of the president's speech to make a fact check there about the financial regulations put in place by the Obama administration. But if you look more broadly, John, at that event yesterday with its elaborate staging, the president had a red pickup truck signifying his administration, a blue pickup truck weighed down by regulation on the other side, signifying the Obama administration. It got to the larger question we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, and that is the president and his campaign finding a coherent argument against Joe Biden. Is deregulation now again going to be at the center of his argument here? It seems he picks something different every day.
Well, the subtlety of the pickup trucks, Willie, I think is, they're the staging very subtle messaging that's going on there. I want to go back. I think the answer, though, is to go back to the point you made. You were right in the zone on what you guys have been talking about, but I just want to even be a little more blunt about it, right? Suburbs equals white. And the president's campaign is in a state of meltdown right now. I know we talked on the show last couple of days about the Brad Parscale situation. Who's really running that campaign right now? Jared Kushner, I think, is really running the campaign. Kind of has always been running the campaign, but a few months before Election Day, the campaign, the organization that should have been, as most incumbent presidents, have honed their political team, the one that got them into office. They've spent time then in the Oval Office. They've been building a reelection war chest. They've been getting their team in to kind of a finely tuned race car, right? So that by the time they get to the last turn, which is where we are right now in this campaign, they're on fire, right, and pedal to the metal. This car is breaking down. It's requiring, I don't want to strain the metaphor, but the whole thing's a mess, right? So the campaign's breaking down. They're showing him polling that shows that he's bleeding out in the suburbs. Trump looks at that, says understands how dire his political situation is, sees all the suburban loss that he's suffering in these battleground states, and says, I got to fix my situation with the suburbs. Suburbs equals white. I'm gonna play the race card in the way that unsubtle way that he often does, which is like, hey, white people, if you vote for Joe Biden, you're going to get a bunch of black people who are going to show up in your neighborhoods. This is like standard 1970s Wallace-Nixon fare. We've made those comparisons before in the past, but I'm not seeing anything quite this blatant. And so that's the card that he's playing. And I think that, it goes back to your point, Willie, which is his problem is that, and even Trump admits it every time he talks about Joe Biden, he has to basically say, well, I know Joe Biden's not radical left. I mean, he literally says those words. I know he's not radical left, but he's controlled by the radical left. He's a puppet of the radical left. Right. AOC is really running the campaign. Elizabeth Warren's running the campaign. Black Lives Matter is really running the campaign. But the fact is that Joe Biden is the worst possible opponent for Donald Trump because he is not someone that Trump can paint easily as the other. That is what Trump wants to do. And Joe Biden, who is another septuagenarian, culturally conservative white guy, is just a very difficult opponent for Donald Trump to get a beat on, which is why you have these kind of coded, unsubtle, but not particularly effective kind of campaign events. And we're going to see it, I think, going forward because they still don't have a way of handling Joe Biden that the president feels comfortable with. And you see it every time they do one of these events. This was just another example.